if you accumulate large groupings of this. This little brush here with a sterling handle, the brush is made out of real bone. You can look at the quality of how some of these pieces are made and tell a lot from that. A little shoe hook here. These were to buckle old ladies' scrap value, but as a collector's piece, if you can gather up a good sized grouping of button hooks, a lot of times they'll have advertising on them, and they're pretty saleable. Next item is a little sterling ring, it looks like to me. Yeah, so just a little sterling ring, not a lot to say about that. The stone in it is quite nice and unworn, pretty. So this is probably a saleable piece. I sell these in pretty decent sized groups. I have also a couple marketers who hardly let me get any of these accumulated and come by and want to pick my sterling, and since my cost associated with reselling them myself is pretty high, I normally just sell them to them for like 110% of spot, and I do not deduct for the stones and such when I sell them, unless it's just enormous in its the size ratio between silver and non-silver pieces in the lot. So maybe that's something you want to do, is farm out that stuff to other buyers. I see a lot of people sell this kind of thing on eBay and onesie it out, and they make decent money on it. However, if their costs are anything like mine, they might just be swimming upstream, so to speak. I mean, it's very hard to list items on eBay and not have an initial labor cost of around $7 per item. That's just what I have found, so that's my input on that. This is a clock weight from an old mantle clock, and clock parts are very good. Antique clock parts seem to sell better than the antique clocks themselves. I always am on the lookout for large groups of clock parts and even watch parts. Mainly we'd be talking pocket watch parts. Groups of parts I do very well with. Full-size antique clocks in recent years really have been pretty disappointing, where the prices of the parts seems to have held up pretty well. Now, if you were going to sell a group of clock weights, and some of them may be quite fancy or might distinguish who the maker of the clock is, I would sell them in groups of maybe 10 pieces or so. However, if you had one that was extremely unusual or fancy in some way, let's say that you had a longer shield-shaped had a clock weight depiction on it of a man riding an elephant hunting tigers. Now, this would be a very outstanding clock weight, and I would sell it one at a time by itself on eBay, and have sold actually one of those and did quite well. More non-Zippo lighters. Now, the advertising on this has been covered up with a silly sticker, but peel that off and there's a advertising on under there for some company, William Parr Company. I'm not sure what it is that's under there, but we'll peel it off and put these in groups of, and it really depends on the advertising genre.